Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of Anime Brain Freeze. We are your brawling hosts.
I am John.
And I'm CC, and when there's just too much cool anime to watch, we've got you covered. Still exhausted from our 100th episode anniversary special, but ready to kick off the new season regardless, we shall do just that in today's episode. So first, we will take a look at a bunch of fresh premieres from fall season in our sneak peek, and after that we will get in the ring and tackle our first review from summer, namely, possibly every fighting tournament fan's wet dream, the God of High School. Sounds like a good way to get things going, so don't pause the pod, we'll be right back.
I get the picture. They try to hit you. They try to kick you down and out.
Alright, here we are in the sneak peek. As usual, we have our three categories, the nopes, the maybes, and the keepers. So yeah, let's start as usual with the nopes, the shows that couldn't hold our attention. John, I think you have one more than me, that means you get to start.
First one I decided to take a look at was Assault Lily Bouquet.
That doesn't even ring a fucking bell. What is it about? And why
on
don't you
Earth.
give a shit?
Well, number one, because it's a mobile game tie-in,
Oh,
and I can
there we
sort
go.
of see through the cracks immediately. But they're very pretty cracks. I mean, it's a show produced by Shaft, and yeah, well, you know, you can take that out of context all you want. I mean, it's a show produced by Shaft, and I haven't seen them do their thing since Fate Extra Last Encore, and you know, they do good work. And, you know, the production on this show is no exception, but it's like, all right, okay. On Earth in the near future, mankind was on the verge of destruction from an attack by a mysterious life form called the Huge.
Huge what? Huge crack?
The Huge.
Okay.
The whole
I've met
world,
it, I think.
Yeah. The whole world united together against this threat using magic and science to create weapons called charms. Charm was something that stood for something, and I didn't write it down. Whoops. Around the world, institutions known as gardens raise girls called lilies to wield these weapons. Riri Hitotsu Unagi managed to pass the exam to enter the prestigious garden known as Yurigaoka Girls' School. She entered in an attempt to find Yu Shirai, a girl who rescued her in her past, and you can tell already it's you know what, your waifu games are fine. That's fine. That's whatever. But it's like I think maybe an episode and a half in, and I was like, I think I've seen, unless there's some amazing infighting between the characters where Shaft gets to go fucking nuts. No, that's all right. And I mean, it's not a bad looking show. Like I said, it's just, you know, you get to the point where you see exactly what the conceit is, and it's like, yeah. Also, charm. Here we go. I just looked it up so I can do this in real time. Counter huge arms. There you go. And they are named after all sorts of mythical weapons. Raise your hand if any of these are familiar from another magical girl show, like names like Gungnir and Dinesleaf.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Can you, like, I don't know, copyright protect your weird god analogy weapons or something?
I don't know. I guess not. I mean, I guess it's public domain enough.
I don't know. I feel like the Symphogear people should sue.
Yeah, right. I'm sure they'll get right on it. But whatever. I mean, this isn't like, it doesn't seem like an inherently bad show, but I feel like I go waste my time watching other stuff.
Yeah, probably, and have a better time doing it. Yeah. On the same note, or nope, my first nope is Hypnosis Mic? Hypnosis Mic?
Hypnosis Mic?
Hypnosis Mic, thank you. So yeah, in a world ruled by women. So far so good.
Oh boy. Oh no.
All deadly weapons have been destroyed.
Okay, alright.
Yeah, you're right, that sounds not bad. But instead, people now duel each other with so-called hypnosis mics and have literal rap battles.
yo, let's fucking go. Epic rap battles of history made real?
Yes, it's a neat idea. It's a really neat idea. And it's what you might expect from an anime with that kind of theme, with that kind of topic and setup. It's literally the characters facing off each other, having these mics in their hand, and just starting to rap, and then there's shit happening in the background, and special attacks, and all that shit, which should be super up my alley, because it sounds kind of like a bit of Food Wars, kind of shown battle anime, whatever, and the visuals are great, and super colorful, and it looks interesting, and fun, and I don't really care for rap, man.
I mean, it's an acquired, I think it's not wrong to say any kind of music is an acquired taste.
Music is super subjective. And besides hardcore techno, rap is just a thing that's just so not up my alley. Like, not at all. There are a few exceptions to the rules, but it's not my thing. It was a neat scene when they used it once in Zombieland Saga, but I can't watch a whole show of this. So even though I like the style of the series, I think it's eye-catching, it's very comic booky, everything about it looks fucking cool. The rest is just not for me, which is a shame. But if you are into shonen shit, if you are into music, I'm into music, but if you are specifically into rap, this might be totally up your alley, if you like your ridiculous shit, which I do, but, if this was a fucking Hypnosis Mic with metal songs, I'd be fucking in, or rock songs. Give me that shit. I'd be so into that. But not with rap. I'm sorry. I don't care.
I think you or someone else linked a screen cap of some cops being like, put the mic down, and the guy opens up his jacket and he's like, if I drop all these mics at once, the reverberations are going to kill this man. And I'm just like,
Yeah, that's the cool shit about it. That's why I was interested, and that's why I retweeted that. But it's just that musical style is not for me. I'm sorry, everyone who loves rap might probably get a kick out of this. So yeah, it's just a nope for me. It's a very personal nope. So that's how it is. John, what is your next nope?
Dropout Idol Fruit Tart.
Okay.
I feel bad for this show because it's up against another bigger name idol show this season, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. And this show seems fine again, but it's not gonna have the leverage it needs to make it big time. Or to really get any attention at all. So the fourth dormitory of the rat production, commonly known as the Mouse Dorm, or if you really want to be cheeky about it, the Mouse House. The place where dropout idol girls live. The former child actor Sekino Roko, musician Nukui Hayu, and model Maehara Nina. There's a girl, Sakurai Ino, who always dreamed of becoming an idol, and she moves in. At the same time, the decision is made to demolish the dorm. And their manager, Kajino Hoho, says that in order to pay off the 100 million yen debt owed on the dormitory, which how do you get your debt that big?
Gambling.
They decide to form the idol
Gacha games.
Yeah. They decided to form the idol group Fruit Tart and get their names out there and get big and make money and save the Mouse House. And
it sounds like very seen this before in, I don't know, Love Live Sunshine? Was it that? Maybe?
Yeah. I mean, it's the same conceit that was Love Live Original and Love Live Sunshine, except this is trying to be the new big next thing, and it's not. It chose a bad season to go into. So
okay.
Again, it seems all right, but I don't know. I think I'm fine. I can live without this one. That's pretty much the long and short of it, to be honest.
I mean, you are the idol anime connoisseur, so
it's my blessing and my curse.
One of many.
Yeah.
One of the other ones we're going to review this season. Are you excited?
You're going to review it too.
Yeah, I know. I'm so happy. Anyway,
what do you have next?
Let's talk about a show I'm not going to review, which is Ikebukuro Westgate Park, which is about two friends. One of them runs a gang in Ikebukuro, but they're a nice gang, so they only fuck with bad guys, like sinister weed dealers. And the first episode reminded me of that after-school special, Cartoon Stars Against Drugs, or whatever it was called. That had like Michelangelo from the Ninja Turtles in it, and Alf, I think, and
Elf!
a bunch of other, cartoon heroes from our seasoned childhoods. And yeah, it was just as preachy and just as redundant and, hey, what's up, fellow kids? And yeah, so one of the main characters, Makoto, works at a fruit shop and wears a t-shirt that says "Smoking kills." I am not joking.
Oh my god.
The first thing that happens in the show is his friend King beating up a junkie. I mean, I get it.
It's just a little on the nose.
Yeah, and I'm all about delivering that straight edge message, but also, could you be more heavy-handed? Probably not. Also, I was so bored after half of the first episode that I turned it off. The animation seems good, but boy, was that the most blunt, boring, politically motivated, lame soccer dad cartoon I've seen this season. Holy fucking shit. Pass. I have no problem with say no to drugs messages, but please be a bit more creative about it and don't bore me to death. Anyway, John.
Maybe it's more fun than Dare from back when I was in middle and high school.
Oh, was that like one of the after-school specials that was like...
It was just like a town cop would come in and be like, hey, drugs are bad, okay? Don't do it or else you'll probably go to jail. Because for anyone who's not in the U.S. or has never heard of DARE, it was basically drug abuse resistance education.
Ah, okay.
Yes. So, yeah, I think it's a nationwide thing, but I'm not 100% certain. But yeah, it was just sort of, hey, drugs are bad. And I'm like, got it.
Okay. Well, yeah, so do I, but I don't need to watch a whole show about that premise. I mean, it's probably not all of that, but just the way this was set up and the storytelling and everything, I was just so fucking done with it after half of its running time for the first episode. So I was like, nope, let's get out of this one. So, yeah, John, what is your last nope?
Sleepy Princess in the Demon Castle.
Mm-hmm.
So, Princess Suyalis is trying to get a good night's sleep. Long ago in olden times when people and demons lived together in, disharmony, really, a demon king kidnaps a human princess and imprisons her in his castle. Bereft, the princess's subjects beat their chests in anguish until a hero arises to spearhead Project Rescue Our Princess. While waiting for her knight in shining armor, what's an imprisoned princess to do? Teddy bear guards with bat wings are all very well, but her dungeon cell is so boring. So she decides to while away the long hours by sleeping, not only if she could get comfortable and didn't suffer from insomnia.
Sounds riveting.
This is a silly, very silly show where this princess is trying to just dress up her prison cell and make it as comfortable for herself as possible, and it's all about her trying to trick these little teddy bear batwing guards into letting her out of her cell so she can get materials to make nice sheets and a new pillow and a mosquito net for her bed. And this is a show predicated on like all of two jokes. Trying to get a good night's sleep and the princess getting herself into such dire trouble that she dies, and the demon priest has to constantly resurrect her so that, you know, she'll be alive for when the hero attempts to rescue her. This is also a very punny show where
doesn't have to be a bad thing.
Where the hero's name is Donner, and he comes from the kingdom of Good Rest.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it is bad. Okay, I take it back.
So, I mean, this show seems silly and cute, but, I mean, again, it's like, it's one joke. Mm-hmm. So,
it's like that Nobunaga dog show.
Yes, actually. But, I mean, at least there's some different things going on where the princess is just trying to dupe the monster guards into being like, hey, I need this experimental sleeping potion you developed. And when one of the actual guards who isn't a dumbass catches onto it, he's like, yo, we're confiscating all the nice shit you made for yourself. Deal with it.
Oh no.
So yeah, I don't know. It's fine, but I'm like,
All right, not enough. I get it.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's it for the nopes. So let's move on to the maybes. So the shows that we might keep on watching, but we're not sure about yet. So, John, again, I think you have twice the number that I have this time around. So why don't you give us your first two maybes?
All right, so the first one is TONIKAWA, Over the Moon for You. It's all about this young man named Nasa Yuzaki. He's grown up for having been ridiculed for a bizarre name. That's because his name is written as Hoshizora, Starry Sky, but it's pronounced Nasa, as in NASA, as in that's the joke.
Okay.
Because he's super smart and he proclaims, I'm going to reach the speed of light faster than the brains at NASA. And it's like, all right, kid. Good for you. So, again, he's super smart. It seems like he's on the right path, ranking first in the nation's mock exams to enter his high school of choice. But in one single night, he notices a girl across the street on his way home, and he's enraptured by her overwhelming cuteness, and it's love at first sight for him. But in his infatuated days, he fails to notice the approaching danger speeding down the road, and he gets hit by a truck.
Oh, that sounds so very familiar.
Yeah, and he's barely alive thanks to this girl's intervention. NASA musters up the courage to confess his love to her, fearing she might otherwise vanish from his life. She accepts his proposal on one condition: marriage, to which NASA gladly accepts before passing out from his injuries. Upon waking, however, the girl is nowhere to be found, and after recovering from his injury, NASA tosses his previous ambition aside and decides and dedicates his life to finding the girl that captured his heart. Yet several years pass to no avail. But one night, when an unexpected visitor comes knocking on his door, NASA finds himself facing a woman that would forever change his world. His wife.
Okay. First, I thought he would wake up and find himself in a completely different world because...
No! Can you believe it?
Yeah,
I
no,
didn't
actually...
do anything like that this season.
That is super weird.
Yeah, no. So this is like a silly sort of off-kilter first love story that these two basically kids, Nasa and Tsukasa, get thrown headfirst into, and it's... The original manga was authored by the same dude who created Hayate, the Combat Butler. So it's got some of that same weird, dry humor. Also, there's references inserted into the background shots of the anime that weren't in the manga. So, that same style of humor is there. The reason why this is a maybe, though, because, I started reading the manga back when it started. A friend of mine linked me to it. I was like, oh, this seems, like a nice little story, whatever. It doesn't seem like the studio has their heart in the production.
Seems a bit phoned in.
Yeah, I'm not looking for grade AAA Sakuga on a story like this, but there's a lot of parts where it's like, guys, hey, ooh. And
is she actually running, or is she just moved across the screen?
We haven't reached that bad yet.
Okay.
Hopefully we don't. Dororo.
Well, it was one episode.
I know, but it still sticks out of my head.
It's true. I can see why.
But yeah, I want to watch more of this. I hope it doesn't get distracting enough. Also, I don't know, because I talked about so many rom-coms in the past, if there will be enough there for me to want to talk about it after the show's over, but I'll see how I feel. Another maybe is Akudama Drive.
That's one of my maybes as well.
Oh, okay, cool. So many years ago, a great civil war ravaged Japan, leaving the country fragmented between two regions, Kansai and Kanto. In Kansai, a group of 6 criminals known as Akudama carry out missions given to them by a mysterious black cat while evading the police. But a dangerous journey is about to unfold when a civilian girl becomes twisted into the Akudama's way of life and witnesses their criminal drives.
Mm-hmm.
So I was immediately drawn to this because, hey, it's written by the dude what done worked on Danganronpa 3. So I was like, all right, sure.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And this is probably some of Studio Heroes, from the first 2 episodes at least, some of the best work they've done in a long time.
It looks really good. Like,
it looks really good.
It gets this very nice neon comic book aesthetic, and the action is super frenetic and everything. And it's like in this cool cyberpunk city. Everything looks really shiny and cool. And it has this nice scene transitions when it introduces the characters and everything with all their title cards and their abilities and shit like that. One thing that immediately stuck out to me is basically the Japanese version of Suicide Squad. Like, to a T.
Yeah.
You got colorful convicts, all with different sentences and power sets. Like Courier, one of the main Akudama, has like this cool Spider-Man or Bionic Commando motorcycle. There's Brawler, there's Hacker, there's Doctor, there's Hoodlum, and the unlucky normal girl Swindler. So, you got your crew, you got all of them trying to reduce their sentences maybe, or, they just rack them up because they do so many crimes. After one episode, I wasn't exactly sure how it works yet. But there are, at the end of the first episode, they all get explosive collars. So this feels very Suicide Squad-y because those guys all have bombs in their heads. So, yeah, that's, I guess, how it works. They're taking on jobs to do super crazy things to wither down their prison sentences and stuff like that. That's what I got of it. And yeah, it's fun. The first episode was super fun. I enjoyed myself. I don't know if the characters and story have any staying power, though. That's what I'm wondering about. Because, this could all be nice fluff and everything, and maybe it's so bad that it's good material and kind of trashy. I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to see where I stand after the 3rd episode. After 1, I'm not sure yet, but what I saw, I liked. It was good fun, comic booky, zany times with a nice edge to it. So, yeah, why not? We'll see.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Since this was also one of my babies, maybe continue with yours, because I think we're going to overlap anyway.
Oh, okay. Whew, I'm doing more talking than I'm used to. Shit.
Well,
so
get used to it this season.
Next up is Warlords of Sigrdrifa.
I wanted to check that out, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of I don't know on it too, but hey, it's airplane dogfights, and the magnificent Kotobuki didn't give me what I want, so maybe this will.
Does this have also weird CG characters as the mains while every other character is in 2D?
No.
Ah, that's a plus then.
So this is proof that when A1 caches the sword art checks, they can do some good work.
Oh, okay.
But yes, one day pillars, quote unquote, appear on Earth and become a threat to all life. And the sudden appearance of a god called Odin was the only reason humanity survived. His method of fighting the pillars was to grant flight via mechanical hero wings to chosen beautiful young girls called Valkyries. Yes. After many years, humanity's battle against the pillars continues in the sky, with women fighting in their battle wings with men as their support staff. Japan is no exception, and when a pillar appears on Mount Fuji, 3 Valkyries confront it. They are joined by an ace pilot from Europe to continue the counterattack as Ragnarok grows ever closer.
Well, at least they didn't call the planes Valkyries, then the Macross guys would have to sue this time around.
Shoji Kawamori would have came out of the woodwork and be like, fucking excuse me? But yeah, no, it's like Strike Witch as if it wasn't squicky with, the whole no pants thing. But yeah, the girls pilot their own planes and they have their own armaments, and they all seem like they have their own different personalities, at least. The dudes who are the wingmen are, they're actual good support staff, and they're not just out there sent to die. It's like the Japanese crew has like these 3 wingmen, and they're just like, they're bros. They're out there to support the girls and be like, yeah, you girls can do it. We're just here to give you the help when you need it. And it's like, all right, okay, you know.
Yeah, that's what a good wingman is for.
Yeah. But it's a very pretty show. Some of the action shots are nuts. Like there's one where one of the girls jumps out of her plane and dives onto the heart of one of the monsters with a knife and just cuts it open midair. And I'm like, God damn.
How do the planes look?
They are like planes. They're not like jets.
Okay.
It's weird because they have like regular actual like propeller driven planes, and then there's, you know, the wingman with the jets, and it's like, it's this so weird disconnect between the two. Why, you know, one crew has one but not the other. But I don't know. Aesthetically, this seems fine. I don't know where it's gonna go, or if I want to see where it's gonna go. I don't know. Odin appears in like this weird childlike form. I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? Maybe it'll be good. Maybe it won't. But I'm willing to give it a little bit more of a chance to see where it goes.
Let me know if you stick with it and if the animation budget stays up. I think I might be in the mood for a good dogfighting anime, but yeah, I'm not sure. You know, the setup is a bit too, I don't know.
Yeah, the setup is weird.
Yeah. We'll see where it goes then.
I won't fight you on that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next, maybe, please.
Wandering Witch, The Journey of Elena.
Oh, I expected this to be a keeper of yours.
I'm like 3 episodes in so far. I don't know. I want to see where it goes. I do like this show. So I think it's kind of teetering between maybe and keeper. I'm not 100% yet though. It's
maybe for me still, but yeah, I enjoyed the first episode a lot. So it might become a keeper.
Yeah. So, inspired by her favorite book, Elena ventures out to see the world she's read so much about. She goes and trains under a wayward witch and learns that, hey, you know, maybe doing the whole magic thing isn't as easy as you thought. Mm-hmm. And when she finally comes into her own and learns everything that her teacher says she needs to, she tells her parents, I'm going on my journey. And Elena's poor father is all broken up about it, but her mother is like, hey, you know, just keep in mind that you're not any more special than anyone else, and that you got to come home every once in a while. So, you know, she agrees to that, and she travels from one country to another looking to sate her curiosity, and she searches for new experiences. She's confronted by people of all shapes and kinds, and exploration and curiosity drive her journey. This is a beautiful looking show.
Oh, no kidding. Holy shit.
We talked about the people who were producing the C2C back when we reviewed Harukana Receive, and boy, have they upped their game since then.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, the backgrounds in this show is so ridiculously beautiful. Like, Fran's house in the tree and everything. It's like a fucking painting. Yeah, good looking show, really. A lot of nice effects stuff and everything. Yeah, I really like the look of the show. It's not too cute or something, and not too, hey, look at these pretty girls. And it feels kind of whimsical, magical in a way that, I don't know, fits my taste or suits my taste. I enjoyed all of the characters so far. I thought the whole thing, you know, the plot in the first episode was a bit mean. I mean, I get what Elena's parents and her teacher were doing, but holy shit, you kind of suck at parenting and teaching. Like, yeah, I felt so sorry for her. I know, I mean, I get that she was on the brink of becoming like this snobbish, I don't know, stuck-up brat, but maybe try, I don't know, getting her off that a bit differently than fucking crushing her spirit and physically, like, harming her. What are you doing? It's awful. I don't know. That didn't exactly rub me the wrong way, but I was like, holy shit, you're going really too far with all of this crap. And I know when I heard that her parents were in on it, I was like, what? Jesus Christ. Girl, get the fuck out of her. And she did, so all right.
Yeah.
It's all
I
fine.
mean, this show is not all, from the second and third episodes, like, this show is not all sunshine and roses either, so...
Okay. I'm glad to hear that, because that's
some of the stories that they have sort of gone into so far are kind of like, ooh.
Okay, interesting. Cool. I mean, I also liked the battles Elena and Fran had. I thought that those looked really flashy and cool, which I didn't expect. So yeah, if there's more of that in the show as well, I'm in. I like it. My action needs are satiated too. So yeah, sure. This might become a keeper. I'm gonna watch at least 2 more episodes and then decide. The soundtrack is also really great. The production values on this show are top notch. So for that alone, it merits to at least watch 2 more episodes, I think. Yeah, like what I saw. Mm-hmm. What's your next maybe? I think I got a few left.
My next maybe is Talentless Nana. So it is the year 20XX. So Mega Man X. Earth has been assaulted. Earth has been assaulted by monsters that would come to be known as the enemy of humanity. In order to deal with this threat, special schools composed of teenagers with extraordinary abilities were formed. These people, who came to be known as the Talented, had abilities that could defy the rules of reality. Among these people with supernatural powers was an outlier, an individual who was sent to one of these schools despite having no innate abilities whatsoever. This is the story of our protagonist, who attempts to defeat the enemies of humanity through the use of intelligence and manipulation alone. So, this show had a fucking hard left turn at the end of the first episode that I was not expecting. I was immediately like, I want to see where they go with it, and I don't want to say too much about it. But when they did that, I was like, yo, let's go. All right. It wasn't what I was expecting.
Well, I mean, another show this season did that, or last season, and you weren't too fond of that. So I guess this worked out better this time around.
It's sort of this weird role reversal where you think you're rooting for one character, but then you're sort of like rooting for another for way different reasons. And I was just like, oh, I kind of want to see how this character plays things out.
Okay, interesting.
I don't know. I'm just curious to see where it goes. I don't know if I'll stick with it, though. We'll have to see if the conceit of the quote-unquote twist has enough meat to it as time goes on. Mm-hmm. So, you had one more, maybe?
Yes. Dragon Quest, The Adventure of Dai.
I'm not sure if I want to have that as a keeper, but yeah, I definitely checked this out, too.
Okay. So, I guess this is a progression stage towards keeper now, then. Yeah, this is a Dragon Quest anime. It's not an adaptation of any of the games, but I think of a manga that already got an anime adaptation quite a while ago.
Yeah, it got an adaptation in, I think, the late 80s, early 90s, and this is a remake of it.
Yeah, exactly. Toei is handling it, as you would expect from a Dragon Quest property thing. And it looks great. For a Toei show, it looks really good. It got really kinetic animation and great soundtrack. It's good, lighthearted fun. And yeah, it's Dragon Quest with a side of Pokemon, kinda, the way the mechanics work in this one. Dai basically sucking at magic, but getting like these cylinders from his teacher or something. And then being able to capture monsters and humans, apparently, with it. And just being able to release them at will. And I guess making them his friends or something. I mean, he's friends with all of the monsters on his island anyway. But it's a nice thing having the main character being actually in cahoots with the monsters in a way, or some monsters, and going on an adventure and shit like that. And it's a kid's show. It's definitely a kid's show, like you would expect from Dragon Quest, I guess. But it's fun. The fights are cool. Action is well choreographed. It's a cool looking show. Very cartoony. The art style is not Akira Toriyama, as you would expect. It's a bit different, but yeah, it's, like I said, it's fun. I don't know if it has enough interesting stuff going for me to make it a keeper eventually, because, the Dragon Quest are always a bit light on the story, I think, except for maybe some outliers. The recent one that got a movie adaptation, kinda, although with a twist, without saying too much. I think that was Dragon Quest V story.
It was 4 or 5, I don't remember.
I think 5. Dragon Quest Your Story. That movie was fucking amazing. I really liked that movie. I think that was great. if this show ventures in the kind of tame territory, I'm all up for it, but I don't know yet.
Man, there was this one fluid camera shot in the first episode that I was like, yo, Toei can still fucking do it.
Oh, sure they can. I mean, they've shown with Dragon Ball Super and with the recent arc of One Piece. So, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think we both kind of understandably missed out on the original version of this show.
Yeah.
I don't think it was ever licensed. You could probably thank Koichi Sugiyama and his rules on his fucking music for that, which is great because it's Yuki Hayashi doing the music this time around.
Yes.
So yeah, this is like a provisional keeper for me, mostly because I had been curious about the original, and now that it's back and it's in a format where I don't have to go hunt it down, I could just go to crunchyroll.com and watch it when I want. Yeah, sure. I will make an effort to keep watching it. So I'm curious to keep going with it.
Yeah, sure. And it seems like the kind of lighthearted, easygoing show that you really don't need to, I don't know, you don't need to get into the mindset too much. You can just leave it on and just, watch it in a more passive way, maybe. I don't know. It feels like this kind of lighthearted thing that you can watch on the side and don't have to be don't have to get super involved with. So yeah, I think I might stick with it. I'm not sure, but there is a chance that might happen.
I have one last maybe. It'll probably turn into a keeper. Who am I kidding? Act surprised, everyone. Love Live Nijigasaki High School Idol Club.
What? John, you're gonna watch a Love Live show? I can't believe it.
Wow. So this is kind of based off of the mobile game Love Live All-Stars. So, there you go. I don't know if that should be a red flag or not because mobile game tie-ins, but Nijigasaki.
You'll see.
Yeah. So Nijigasaki High School is known for its diverse curriculum and the freedom that they give to students. The second-year student, Yu Takasaki, that is to say, you, the protagonist in the game.
Oh, no.
Which I find unendingly hilarious because before this character was given a proper name in all of the fan art, she was referred to as Anata-chan, you. And then they named her You, and it's like, so her name went from being You to You. Ha ha ha. I get it. Real funny.
I hope that is not all the show has to offer.
So Yu has been turned on to the charms of school idols when one day she and her childhood friend Ayumu Uehara run across this girl Setsuna Yuki putting on a solo concert in the middle of a park, and she's knocking it out, and Yu is super taken with it. And when they find out that she's part of the school idol club at their school, well, they have to go check it out, right?
Sure.
But when they go to check it out, the school idol club has been disbanded by the student council president. So this is a story all about trying to get the band back together and finding out what really are the aims of the student council president.
Mass hysteria.
Yeah. It's Love Live. I mean, it's very cute. It's well produced. This is the reason why I said Dropout Idol Fruit Tart doesn't have a chance this season. You're going up against like one of the biggies. Like,
yeah, if the big guns are on set, you better, I don't know, hide in the wings or something.
You have to come correct or get off the stage.
Mm.
So I feel bad for Fruit Tart because of that, but I don't know. I guess I'm sure this will be a split core like the first show and like Sunshine was. So I'll withhold judgment on it for now because as you might recall, I was sort of on the first season of Sunshine, and then the second season happened, and I was crying my eyes out because I was so happy with it and how they did the ending. I don't know. I don't know if this has the same sort of weight that that last story had, but we'll see.
I mean, and it doesn't have to. It just needs to be a really good idol show. It doesn't need to hit like the same emotional highs. Can't demand that of every show, but maybe it's good enough.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's it for maybes.
Yes, so let's move on to the keepers, the shows that we definitely want to keep watching. We've got some familiar faces in here.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to start with my first one, and that is Haikyu to the Top, Part 2.
Shocking.
Shocking. Just as
Wow.
shocking as you watching a new Love Live show.
Wow. Who would have thought?
It's almost like I didn't name Haikyu my favorite sports anime from the past decade or something.
What?
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, the first part of the new season of Haikyu already, it's a bit weird because it's kind of like, it's the fourth season, but it also got this subtitle name with To the Top, so is it the fifth season now, or is it part 2 of the fourth season? I'm not sure. I don't care. It's more Haikyu.
It's weird. It's kind of like what would happen with Food Wars, where the fourth plate should have really been called the third plate part 3.
Yeah, it's a bit strange. Sometimes the naming of the different seasons or course just gets really chaotic. I mean, it kind of fits because, you know, at the end of the third season, they win the regional tournament. Spoilers. So now they're going national, and that's what this is about. So move to the fucking top of Japan. Hey, I'm in. It's fucking Haikyu. It looks amazing. Still incredibly well done by Production IG. The soundtrack, we just mentioned Yuki Hayashi. It's fucking great. And all the characters are lovable, lovely, fun, amazing. And yeah, the volleyball matches are fucking great. So what more can I ask of a sports anime than what Haikyu is willing to give me? Nothing, I believe. So I'm just gonna shut up and keep on watching more Haikyu. That's what I'm gonna do, because that sounds like a good idea. John, what is your first keeper?
What else would it be but Golden Kamuy?
Season 3.
Yes.
Yes, they're back, baby.
Oh, I'm waiting for this.
The first thing I noticed after watching the first episode was, fuck, I need to rewatch at least season 2. I have forgotten so much.
I remember, I think, most of it, but yeah, I think I should go back and refresh myself.
It's so many. It's like, what was that? Where was that character? What was... I feel so sorry. I think my brain can't handle watching so much anime, so that's why I forget about the coolest shows or the plot details of the coolest shows pretty quickly if I don't like rewatch them every time a new season comes out. So I probably need to do that for Golden Kamuy, which I don't really mind. I mean, the production values, you know, dip here and there and are not really great, but come on, the story and the characters are so fucking great, so I'm just gonna watch.
I said this to you before, and I honestly feel like starting from that first season, that Geno studio has come a little bit of a ways, because it's gotten better and better looking as it's gone on.
Definitely. And I was talking about if I would start from the first season, then it would be like, and then, but it would get better, you know. Yeah. Transitioning into the second season and everything. And I kind of feel like just going to the beginning of the series again. Because like the first 2 seasons are only 12 or 13 episodes each, so that's kind of doable. And I don't want to miss out on... I wanted to rewatch the finale of this second season anyway, because it was so fucking good. So I might just as well watch the build-up too. Who gives a shit? It's a good fucking show. So
yeah, man.
I'm just gonna watch it again.
Sugimoto is chasing after a Sirpa. They're traveling towards the Russian border. They're trying to find out more about the coded tattoos. And there's all sorts of crazy shit and action and good food and hina going on. Let's go.
That's nothing kinky, people. For people who don't know, that's not what you think it is.
Look up the Ainu language. You'll thank me later.
Yes. Look up Ainu in general.
Yes. Golden Kamuy. Super hype. Let's go. What do you got?
Okay, I have one more keeper, and I have a feeling we share that one, and that's Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, boy.
Yes! So this is a new show by MAPPA, with the director Sung-woo Park at the helm, who also directed a show that we're gonna talk about in a couple of minutes. And it shows! The action is already delivering the same dynamic energy as the other show. So, yeah, this is about basically this nice guy called Yuji, who is physically gifted and is a, really nice guy who is in this occult club at his high school with 2 other people. And then he basically stumbles into the battle between school of, sorceress, I guess, What do they even call themselves? Jujutsu sorcerers, right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Who find and battle or destroy cursed objects and work with curses themselves. And yeah, it's basically it's kind of a occult magic show, really. And the first episode has basically Yuji in a very dire situation, consuming a cursed object and inhabiting basically the spirit of who that object belonged to. And then the Jujutsu sorcerers decide, hey, if you can do that without getting taken over by that spirit, maybe we should give you the other cursed objects of this kind for you to consume, so we can kill you after you've consumed all of them. Because if you die, the cursed objects die with you, but we can't actually destroy them outside of the body because they're too strong. And that's a shitty choice for Yuji, because the other choice would be he could die at the spot. That's basically the choice that one of his, let's say, senpais sets up for him, Satoru. And yeah, it's a shitty choice for him, but also an incredibly dumb idea by Satoru and the higher-ups. Like, if one cursed object, if one finger of this Sukuna guy is so strong that they can't destroy it, what makes him think that they can even touch a version of Yuji that has absorbed all fingers? Are they
20 of them?
All 20 of them. Are they expecting him to just hand himself over or be in control of himself at that point? That seems like a super risky idea. Just saying. Yeah, but I'm interested to see where this goes. Obviously, it's going to be more and more difficult for Yuji to keep Sukuna under control. And, you know, the OP tells us as much that he's going to have like these head battles with this guy, this ever stronger growing spirit, which right now is basically just a nuisance, just sometimes appearing as an additional eye or mouth on his face, but not much else. But it's probably going to get more difficult to control him. And yeah, we'll see how that turns out and how that affects the other people in his life and everything. And boy, this show looks good. Mappa firing on all cylinders. The action choreography is fucking insane, and the soundtrack is great. And yeah, it's a really cool looking show. It's fantasy, it's shonen, it's totally up my alley. It's got a great look to it. Aside from maybe the fashion sense of the Jujutsu sorcerers, it seems kind of dull. But aside from that,
I mean, I guess it's a school uniform.
Yeah, it is, but it's a very dull school uniform. It's like basically these fucking purple sacks.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yes, exactly. I mean, you could have put it a bit more. When you watch shows like Bleach, where everyone is wearing kind of a uniform too, but there's so much style to the different pieces of uniform, it's like, I don't know, this seems a bit lazy. But, you know, aside from that, it's a really good looking show. It's the most shonen-y setup you can get. It's a treasure hunt plus several mini-bosses incoming, obviously. You know, with each cursed object, I assume that's what's gonna happen. But, you know, I'm all for that kind of shit, because that's one of my favorite genres. So, yeah, gimme. I'm interested. One of the other characters, Fujigoro, has two good boys as Shikigami. Sure, I'm in. You had me at cool shonen action, but then you went the extra mile and gave me ghost puppies. So, all right. Well done, Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm gonna keep watching you. And it seems, John, you're on board too.
Yeah, I'm ready to see where this goes, because Yuji is such a fucking blockhead. But he's like, yeah, all right, I'll do this. And it's like, are you sure? Is that a smart idea? Okay, all right. So I'm willing to see where his hubris will take him. But, you know, he's not doing it without reason. So
yeah, he has good reasons, and, you know, noble reasons in a way. And yeah, it will be interesting to see where his arc will take him. And but he's a very likable main character. So we'll see how these other characters turn out. And yeah, I'm interested to follow this journey. And I think this is the most hyped up show this season. A lot of eyes are on this one, so yeah, I'm willing to buy into the hype for now. Yeah, I think that's it for our keepers, kinda. I didn't know where to put this, but I quickly wanted to mention it. I also watched all of Burn the Witch, which is like this kind of movie 3-episode special something, which is speaking of Bleach, the new project of Taite Haiti. I don't know how the first name is. It's a Tite.
I actually looked this up. I believe it is Tight.
Tight, just Tight. Okay, Tight Kubo.
I think it's also like a nickname.
Yeah,
but, whatever.
Yeah, okay, Tite Kubo. And I just want to check this out because it was his new stuff. I like his art style, I like his drawings, I like his character designs a lot. That's probably one of the things I like the most about Bleach. I think the character designs and the clothing on the characters and everything, the fashion. Kubo's fashion sense is top notch. So yeah, I wanted to check out this show as well. And this is basically, as it turns out, which is kind of a spoiler, but not really. As it turns out, as in the final episode, this is a spin-off of Bleach. This is actually a kind of spin-off follow-up, and it's about the Western branch of Soul Society, which is set in London, kinda, and is like this kind of mirror world to normal London, and there are dragons, and the main characters are two witches who kind of have to deal with the fallout from one of their, companions being some kind of dragon tamer or dragonborn. A lot of stuff you're thrown into this. It feels like you're thrown into this world in media res. So a lot of world building is done very much so on the fly, and you feel like you missed out on a lot of character introductions. I don't know how the manga did it because that one is still running. If there was a bit more setup to it, if was a bit more introduction to it, but it's also being released in this kind of quarterly chapter or volume period or something. So it's probably going to be a while until we see more of Burn the Witch. But what I saw, I liked. Like, the setup is intriguing. You can see where, I can see who might be the bad guys here. There's a guy called Bruno Bangknife, which is fucking amazing. I think this is a cool show. I don't know if we'll see any more of it in anime form. Maybe it was just a promotion thing for the manga, which is also not released that regularly, apparently. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with it, but what I saw, I liked. It was a neat one-off thing. Definitely worth a watch, especially if you like Bleach and Kubo stuff in general. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. The story definitely has some potentials, and the characters too. I just don't know if we get anything more from it in anime form, or if they'll stick to the manga from now on. But yeah, I hope they will do more stuff with that because it's really fun. So yeah, just can't really put that anywhere because it's not a continuous series. It's already done. I watched all of it. All of it that's out anyway, all 3 episodes. So guess that was kind of a mini review without giving anything away. But yeah, if you want to see like a more Western European version of Bleach with 2 hot witches riding dragons in a way, so mini dragons, so a mishmash of broomsticks and dragons, I guess, and doing a lot of cool magic shit and everything, sure, go for it. It's a really good looking fun show or movie or OVA or original net animation. I have no fucking idea, but I think it's on Crunchyroll, and it's definitely worth a watch. It's very short.
It's cool.
All right, I guess that's it for the sneak peek then, and we're gonna move over to our first review from summer. The God of High School is an all-styles welcome martial arts tournament designed to find the world's strongest fighter. Across the globe, thousands of specially invited candidates are prepared to duke it out with fists, feet, swords, and anything else they can wield. All for the sake of calling themselves the strongest, and to have their greatest desire granted by the mysterious tourney administrators. Into this maelstrom of violence waltzes Mori, an excitable young man with literal stars in his eyes, unmatched taekwondo skills taught to him by his now missing grandfather, and a thirst for strong opponents. He quickly makes friends with the karate expert Dei and the sword fighter Mira. The unlikely companions form a bond strong enough to take on an ocean of enemies across every fighting discipline known to man. But with the mysterious tournament organizer waiting in the wings and some supernatural machinations at work in the shadows, the 3 friends might be well in over their heads. The God of High School is based on a South Korean manhwa, released as a webtoon, written and illustrated by, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Youngjae Park, maybe? Some experience
I don't know how to pronounce Korean names, so I'm going to trust that's correct as well.
Exactly. Some experience with pronouncing of Japanese names, no experience whatsoever with Korean ones. The manhwa started in April of 2011 and is still running, apparently. So I guess there's a lot more material to go through in anime form. Holy shit. And the first season of the anime series has 13 episodes and was animated by MAPPA. You know.
That's a familiar name.
Yes, they have come up a lot in the show. Banana Fish, Dororo, several Garo anime series, Ocean Tora, Yuri on Ice, TQ, and most recently, the previously mentioned in the sneak peek, Jujutsu Kaisen, which, you know, we just talked about, to name only a few. And The God of High School shares another commonality with Jujutsu Kaisen. It's director Sung-woo Park. We might have mentioned him in our review of Garo Vanishing Line because he also directed that.
And he did a little bit of work on Banana Fish, I think, like a couple episodes.
Yeah, as an episode director. But generally, his step into the full-time director gig seems to be more recent. And before that, he was responsible mainly for the animation direction and key animation on a lot of projects like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Macross Frontier, the first Garo anime series and movie, One Piece Film Z, and Space Dandy. And the animation and direction of God of High School are without a doubt its best feature.
Mm-hmm.
The action in this show is ridiculous and beautiful and insane and nonsensical and mesmerizing and fucking cool as hell. From the incredibly fun bicycle chase scene in the first episode to pretty much every fight scene in this show, if you just want to watch an anime purely on the merit of Sakuga eye candy, look no further. There are almost no static action scenes in this show. The camera is constantly on the move, circling around the characters in fluid 360 motions, or following their complicated, extravagant choreography, or letting your eyes become the eyes of the fighter and experience the combat from their point of view. Mm-hmm. It is bonkers. I don't think I have seen a show in a long while that gave me a ridiculous new creative fight scene in almost every single episode. John, have you?
No. They kept finding ways to be like, we turned it up to 11 before. Yeah, we can keep going. Yeah, it's no big deal. Don't worry about it. I couldn't believe how they constantly outdid themselves.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Like every time I was like, okay, I must have seen the best fight in this show. It's like, no, you sweet summer child.
I can't imagine what kind of budget this show must have had.
No idea, or just very talented people and passionate people at the helm. I mean, Sung-woo Park is Korean, so maybe he is a big fan of the source material, I don't know, and put the extra work in and brought enough other people on board. And I mean, there are a lot of people, Korean people on staff for anime production these days, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, Pyoro has a bunch of them on staff or as assistant animators and stuff like that, and MAPPA probably too. So maybe this was like, hey, this is something from our country. We're going to get big thing from our country. We're going to put some extra passion into this one.
Yeah, I mean, this show was also like it was like the big start of the whole Crunchyroll original things. Like, I mean, I think there's been a couple before this one, but it just feels like the first big one they pushed as such.
I think Tower of God was maybe the first one.
Yeah, that's true.
And that was also a webtoon adaptation. But yeah, God of High School was the immediate follow-up to that, and I think it looks better than Tower of God, and apparently more consistent also in terms of production value and animation quality and everything.
Definitely.
So, and it's not just that the fights are simply well animated. A lot of effort was put into the unique movements of the different fighting styles. I don't think I've seen a show as dedicated to the details since Avatar: The Last Airbender when it comes to the versatility and faithfulness of its various martial arts. Like you can see, hey, okay, it gets very wild, and at a certain point it gets, supernatural and crazy and dumb. But you see that there's a distinctiveness to each martial art, and that there was a lot of attention paid to that. Like, this is Taekwondo, this is Karate, this is Jiu-Jitsu. This is some kind of style where someone uses a baseball bat as his main weapon and uses it as this kind of fencing thing. And then you have classic Japanese sword fighting techniques, kendo style and everything. So all of that is in there and all feels very unique and distinctive from each other. So it's really cool. It felt like there was a lot of attention to detail put in this show. Mm-hmm. The sound and music are also great. The former being handled by Kisuke Koizumi, who also worked on the sound for Dororo, Anglemoor, and Sengoku Basara. And the latter was composed by Arisa Okehazama. Both are also working currently on Jujutsu Kaisen, which makes me very happy. The sound does a really good job of empathizing the impact and sheer insanity going on in these fights. And the music is always a nice companion piece with some damn catchy tunes. The OP of the series, Contradiction, is also the banger of the season, without a doubt. John, would you agree? Or
yes. It's so, oh my god. When I first saw it, I was like, yeah, I guess I'll check this show out. I got a little behind on it. I watched the first episode, and then I watched the following 7 episodes like the next 2 days after, and I was like, yeah, I'm in. This is awesome. This is exciting.
Agree. So now, before we go into the story of the series, let's get this right out of the way. The God of High School is kind of a bit trash.
Yeah. A little. I wrote very briefly in my notes that, hey, as a plus side, the plot's a bit basic because, it's easy to follow. But the plot is also very basic.
It's very basic and at the same time super ridiculous and dumb and kind of hard to follow in a way if you really try to.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's incredibly rushed. A boatload of shit was cut from its source material, apparently. The plot is moving at least 500 light years per hour. And most of the characters, except for 2 of our mains and maybe 1 or 2 side characters, are as shallow as they come. Which is probably why almost every reviewer on Anime News Network picked it as their worst anime of the season. Which I can understand, especially if you go into the series with certain expectations.
Yeah.
But I don't agree with that at all. Because the God of High School is just so much damn fun.
Yeah, it's super fun. Like, I don't understand. I mean, I get it. But at the same time, it's like sometimes you just enjoy a show for what it is.
Yes, exactly. I mean, let's start with the negative points first. Like I said, it feels really rushed. Apparently, a lot of story bits and character development has been cut from the source material for this adaptation. This is probably why a lot of stuff feels like insane bullshit that doesn't really necessarily fit together or feels like it comes out of nowhere. But I was always wondering in the show, is that actually to its detriment? Like, this is great popcorn spectacle, and it made me care about some of the characters regardless. So I feel like it did its job for what it maybe was trying to do and didn't try to weigh itself down with maybe too much lore and everything of what's happening in its source material. Really try to streamline it and everything. I felt like they really streamlined, cut, and changed a lot from the source material. I checked some comparison threads on Twitter, so I understand why some people are mad or disappointed if they expected a straightforward page-to-page adaptation of the source material. But I never got the feeling that integral things necessarily were missing. Yes, some things feel disjointed because there's so much shit happening so fast, and you don't know the origins of a lot of the characters on the sidelines, and you don't initially understand why some things are happening. But most of it kind of becomes clear by the end, in my opinion, and you also don't really need it. And since I haven't read the source material, I didn't feel like I was missing out while watching the show. Did you feel like you were missing out or missing some integral parts of the story of the show, or wasn't it too noticeable for you?
I mean, yeah, I thought it was going really fast, but I wasn't 100% sure on that. And then I started to read a little bit of the manhwa. I didn't go too far into it, but there's one scene where Mori is talking about oh yeah, that commissioner beat me up and I want a rematch with him. And you don't see that in the anime, but that's the first thing in the manhwa. So I was like, oh, there it is. It right from the jump. So I don't know. I guess I could see how someone would say it's to its detriment, but it's also trying to just get in there and go and tell and start somewhat telling the story.
Yeah. And I mean, when it goes, and it basically goes all the time. So
it doesn't stop. It never stops.
It never stops. Another point of contention might be the characters themselves, and some characters definitely get the short end of the stick, character development-wise. For example, in the later part of the story, there's this conductor dude who I'm willing to bet is featured more prominently in the webtoon manhwa, which makes it hard to care for his fate in this version, which seems to be kind of important, the way it's framed. Same goes for our kind of main villain at the end, or one of the main villains at the end, Jagal. He is set up kind of as the final villain of this. Like, there's a lot of effort spent on showing him as this cruel, unstoppable force, and that doesn't even take into account him turning into Sephiroth at the end of the penultimate episode, kind of. But we don't really learn anything substantial about him, aside his mom giving him up and him having some kind of beef with Ilpio, one of the other characters. So you don't really super hate him or anything. Yeah, he does some really shitty things, and you feel for the characters he does that to in a way, or at least for some of them. But it all happens so fast, and his background is not that well established, and there's not much time spent on that you don't really engage with him super much. He's just a threatening presence, and that's kind of it. And I can see why people are like, yeah, he's basically a nothing character, and I can see why. But again, didn't bother me too much, because he was just like something for Mori to beat up, I guess. Yeah. And that's kind of the last negative thing that I would see, and that is Mori as the main character, who is just fucking Son Goku. Like,
not even joking.
You can't hide it. This story is definitely heavily inspired by Journey to the West. It becomes even more clear by the end of the show. So, of course, Dragon Ball is in there as well. And, of course, Mori is literally Son Goku. And that comes with all the character flaws that Goku has, which is basically, he's just in here to fight. And that's kind of it. He's a good guy. He's an enjoyable guy. And his relationship to Day and to Mira is the best thing about the show. But there's not much to his character. And there's not really character development to him. He's just there. He has cool fights. He is strong. He overcomes all the obstacles and everything. He's kind of a Gary Stu who doesn't really lose. And that might be the biggest problem with him. Aside from that, he's a sympathetic character. He's fun. He's funny. And he can kick ass. Holy shit, can he kick ass. But, aside from that, there's just not much to his character. Just like with Goku. John, how did you feel about Mori?
You're not wrong at all. He's a cool guy. He's got this like strong sense of justice. He wants to be friends and he wants to fight. And it's like, you just Goku, bro. I mean, there's nothing wrong.
He's even looking for his missing grandfather. So even they have kind in common. I mean, Goku doesn't do that because his grandfather died, but still, the grandfather plays an important part in his life.
Yeah.
So, it's the same here.
Might as well have just called him Gohan and been done with it. But, I don't know. I guess I don't inherently have a problem with that, but,
Me neither.
You could have done more with him. Maybe more is done with him in the manhwa. I'd hope so. But, again, that comes back to the problem that the anime just goes and it keeps going and it doesn't really stop to give you the break that you need to really fully understand everything that's going on. Like, you kind of sort of do, and at the same time it's sort of like, all right, that happened, cool.
Yeah, exactly. Next cool shit, show it to me. And they do! That's the thing. Yeah. They absolutely fucking do. Like, I was expecting the show to get, like, less cool looking, or the production budget completely taking a nosedive, and me being like, okay, now there's not much in here for me anymore. But it didn't. It just kept on looking awesome and giving me new cool shit to look at. So let's talk about the cool shit. I mean, we got the negative Nancy shit out of the way. So yeah, let's start at the very beginning. I mentioned the bicycle chase previously when talking about the animation. And that's probably one of the best, hilarious, I think I used those exact words in the sneak peek when I talked about the show. It's one of the best, hilarious, kinetic, action-packed, well-animated introduction things to a set of main characters I've ever seen. You get these three characters. You get Mori, you get Mira, and you get Day, and you immediately know what they're about. And they meet each other in the first episode in a hilarious, super fun, action-packed way, and then immediately become friends, and it's good times all around. And I'm laughing, and I'm gasping, I'm yelling at the screen in happiness, I'm clapping. That's what this show was a lot of times for me. It's just great.
It's a
fun.
hype machine.
It's a fucking hype machine. Yes, indeed. And the first episode lets you know immediately what you're in for. And it's like, not a lot of it makes sense, what is happening during that bicycle chase, like, not at all. But it's still a fun time, and that's kind of what the show is from beginning to end. So if you watch that first thing, how can you be surprised at how this show continues? Because it does the same thing for its entire runtime. It shows you some ridiculous bullshit that doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense, but is regardless super fun. You just have to let it capture you, take you prisoner, and give you good happy times. And there are other nice things. I mentioned the soundtrack is great in there. You have these nice 16-bit eye catchers, which are very video gamey in the break between the two episode parts. Of course, like I mentioned before, the fight choreography is fantastic and varied. In general, you get a lot of different visual styles. Classic anime, a lot of SD stuff for the comedy, US comic book flavored designs for the promotions, pastel storybook designs for the flashbacks, and, like I said, even 16-bit video game graphics for the commercial eye catchers. So yeah, there's a lot of shit to look at and many different influences, and it doesn't get boring. Like, it's like, I've seen this stuff, or no, here's something new to look at. And maybe that's also what some people took as a negative, because all the different styles and everything and the visual information overwhelmed them because it was changing so quickly, or maybe they felt like the show couldn't decide on one thing. I don't know, I liked it. I really liked how versatile and diverse it was. So I really liked the look of the show. I think it was fucking great. Another positive thing are still our main three characters, in my opinion. I mean, we already talked about Mori and that he's a bit on the simple side, but that doesn't mean that his connection to Mira and Day doesn't have some substance to it. And I think it does. Like, it feels like the best thing is when those three are together, in my opinion. I also love that Mori always comes up with these elaborate backstories for the people he wants to help. Like, a kid lost his balloon, and Mori says, "I will get back the balloon your grandma gave to you before she died." And the boy is like, "But my grandma is fine, though."
That was, oh my god, when they're trying to get back the purse in the first episode, that was my favorite. That was my favorite thing about it.
It is definitely. I really liked it. I would have even loved it if they did it more. They did it like 2 or 3 times or something, and it was always great. And yeah, Mori lived in the mountains with his granddad, like Son Goku, and his granddad got missing. But I also thought the flashbacks where we see Mori with his grandfather are also super sweet. Like the stuff we see when he meets that character Ilpio later in the tournament, and they have a common background story, kinda. That flashback bit, is pretty short, but it's kind of sweet, and we immediately understand that he and his grandfather deeply care for each other. Like, you don't need this super huge exposition dump or episode-long flashback. You just need pretty much perfect conveyance, and I think the show has a bunch of those scenes where it's like, hey, we're gonna just take a few seconds to show you something about these characters, but it's gonna make you understand them perfectly. Like I said, there's not much substance to Mori, but there is still heart to him. Yeah. And these scenes encapsulated that and were pretty great. And one of the other characters is Mira, who is like this female sword fighter who wants to rebuild her father's sword fighting school, her father's dojo, but it has seen better days, and she wants to use the tournament to basically promote the sword fighting style of her father's school, her late father's school. She is a cool character, as in she is really strong. But she also is trying to figure out what she actually wants. There's one plot with her where she thinks maybe she has to marry a guy who is offering her to make her school the biggest thing, and she thought that would be her legacy, and that's what she has been training for all her life. And if there's a way to make this happen, she needs to take that opportunity. And, you know, her relationship with Day and with Mori kind of lets her look at this from a different perspective and everything. So yeah, there's definitely some development to her character. And also that episode delivers one of the best English lines in all of existence.
Stop fooling yourself, you stupid little girl!
It's amazing. I need to put this on my smartphone and make it a reaction if one of my friends is like saying something dumb.
God.
It would be great. You have to admit it. It's a great reaction soundbite. It's fantastic. Love me some good English. Anyway, her story is pretty nice. I was kind of bummed that they seem to have cut one of her fights. We only see Day fight one of the members of Ilpyo's team. And I assume there was another fight between Mira and the other member before Mori and Ilpyo duke it out. And I think that was cut. Maybe. She has one very important fight in the show, and that's when her spirit animal is revealed. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. The show becomes JoJo's Bizarre Adventure after a while, kinda.
Yeah, it really does.
So there's this power called Chariok, I think, and that's the ability to draw out the power of the gods. And basically, the organizers of the tournament all have this power, and there's a different party that it turns out they're fighting against, which is called Nox, I think, that also has this power. And, you know, as it turns out, most of the people taking part in this tournament later, at least, are able to harness this power or can learn to harness this power. Of course, also our three mains. And Mira, actually, I think her avatar or something is everyone's favorite from Dynasty Warriors, Lu Bu. So
hey, don't pursue him.
So yeah, that's cool. And I would have liked to see that a bit more, like in the actual tournament fights, to see her kick more ass. But she kicks plenty of ass, let's be honest. And actually, she sometimes seems to be stronger without her sword, which is a bit weird. But okay.
Yeah.
Still, it's a lot of fun. And then the last of the three main characters is Day, who wants to save his very sick best friend. That's why he takes part in the tournament to get access to the nanomachine healing technology they use to rebuild the fighters that have been hurt during the fights, which can't heal everything. If you lose a limb, you're pretty much fucked, apparently. Unless magic Dragon Balls come into play, or at least something that kind of matches that. But he wants to get that, and I thought his background story was probably the strongest. Maybe because aside from Mira's stuff, they spent the most time on that, but it's also a bit more, I don't know, emotional and kind of relatable in a way. And I thought it was a really good idea to make Day's background story and his relationship to Mira and Mori the main focus in that finale of the preliminary fights, where he and Mori basically duke it out. This is the strongest God of High School gets in terms of storytelling, and the closest you get to be actually emotionally involved, aside from just gawking at the visuals and immersing yourself in the pure hype of the fights. And I thought that the end to that and how everything wrapped up was really heartfelt and really emotional and really cool. And yeah, that was probably my favorite part in this show, just in terms of story, characters, and everything. And it felt maybe a bit rushed in certain parts before that, but it still felt earned. And I liked what it did with its three main characters and their relationship. How did you feel about it, John?
We had a really good feeling for the bond between Mira, Day, and Mori, I feel like. But yeah, you're right. The only significant characterization is really on Day, which kind of makes you feel bad because I'd want to know more about the other characters, like a bit more about the other characters. Like, we know their deals, but we don't know, like, I want to go a bit more into their backstories than what's shown on the surface. And, that's probably done in the manhwa, but, just give us a little something more, man. Throw me a bone. But, at least you can definitely see that their fighting styles dictate their personalities as well, which is really cool. So that got me in there super hard with all the characters, though. So I guess that was enough for me, even though I would have liked to have seen a little bit more. But I don't know. I guess I'm just a simple kind of guy.
And I mean, there are hints. Yeah, me too. I mean, at least when it comes to my action anime. And I mean, there are hints of them doing more with that. Like, they give these cute, endearing backstories to some of the most minute characters, or what seem to be minute characters in the anime. Maybe they're featured more extensively in the manhwa. Like, there's this 38-year-old high schooler, which I assume is a hilarious jab at all the characters in other anime who look like 30-something-year-old dudes but are supposed to be 16. I love it. And yeah, that was a really sweet little side story. And I assume there are more of that maybe in the manhwa. But I think our three mains stay fun and sympathetic all the way through. And the commissioners are also pretty damn cool, even though we don't learn that much about them. But you want to see them prevail against Nox, assuming they are the good guys and not just the lesser evil, which we don't really know at this point. I mean, Mujin Park is still kind of dubious.
There's a lot that's up in the air on that front.
And I mean, there's still a lot of shit coming. I mean, the manhwa has been running in 2011, and we got 13 episodes so far. I mean, which they rushed the shit out of, but I assume there's still a lot of shit left on the table here that we're gonna see and gonna be filled in for. So, yeah, but I didn't really have that much to complain about character-wise, aside from things I mentioned at the very beginning with the main bad guy, and we don't learn enough about him, and, you know, some of the side characters getting the short end of the stick. But they also adjust the OP slightly to include new characters, which was neat, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, and the three mates are just so great together. Like when Day and Mira throw Mori an improvised birthday party, like there's just good vibes all around. If you need a pick-me-up in these harsh times, just watch these three being goofy together and you'll feel pretty alright for a while, in my opinion. I know I did. And as Mori's granddad says, there's nothing better to have than friends. And I think the show conveys that pretty damn well. So,
it definitely does.
Yeah. And like I said, the other big draw about the show is the action. It looks ridiculous. And once the Chariot is introduced, everyone unleashes their hidden power inside and outside of the ring. Shit gets fucking wild, man. It gets so crazy. You don't even have an idea. I can't expect the show to top itself in the second season. I wouldn't know how. I can't. I mean, we've seen so much crazy shit already. But I've been saying this throughout the entire first season as well, with every new episode. So maybe I will be proven wrong again. I would be glad to be proven wrong again. So no problem there. Like, the fight against Ilpio's team has the most ridiculous, elaborate, and detailed fight choreography I've ever seen. I was so blown away by that. I thought that this is like martial artist wet dream. Like everything looked so detailed and so fluid and almost rotoscoped, and it probably was rotoscoped from real fighters. But man, those were some really cool fights. I thought also the final battle, I'm giving away a lot, but the plot doesn't matter that much. And the most important emotional beats I don't give away. But I thought the final fight against Jigal was also really cool, really action-packed. Like the final couple of episodes are just insane. And it gets crazy and crazy. And you really don't know what's happening anymore at a certain point. But you also don't care. You just go with it, just like the show keeps on going. And you know,
just like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, all right. Like, let's fucking go. I'm in. And you know, Jigal is summoning a giant shark head as a stand, and then later giant demon heads, and he's voiced by Kenjiro Tsuda, so kind of what's not to love.
Kenjiro Tsuda was around a lot this season, actually.
Yeah, actually, since last season, I think he was around a lot. I mean, starting with Fire Force Season 1, I think I saw him popping up everywhere. I don't know how that happened, but we had him in Copcraft. We had him in Copcraft. We had him in Fire Force and 2 other shows I can't think of right now. But he was popping up left and right, and here as well. And it was like, oh, here he is again.
I mean, I think in this round of reviews, we will hear his voice popping up no less than 3 times.
Yeah. I mean, he does good work, so I'm glad he's getting it.
Definitely.
I won't complain. So yeah. I don't want to give all the shit away that's so ridiculous, but I need to have people know how dumb this gets, how ridiculous this gets in terms of stance. Like, while Mori and Ilpyu duke it out in the ring, there's a battle raging outside between Mujin's group and Nox. And the leader of Nox is summoning a giant blade that is engraved with the sentence, "I do not know whose child this is. It existed before God."
Yeah, that...
Which is already badass and stupid enough, but then he actually summons God to wield it? I'm not sure. I have no fucking idea. Is he summoning the Hebrew God? No idea. And then he gets repelled by Mujin and a bunch of monks playing music. And a guy summoning all national treasure weapons. I have no idea what is happening, but I fucking love it. It's so
dope.
Yes, it's ridiculous. And, a bunch of that shit reminded me of Giant Robo, the old OVA. There's a lot of crazy shit at a certain point happening, and you don't really get introduced to these characters, and they suddenly do these giant fight scenes and everything, and it's crazy. And again, you don't know exactly what's going on, but it's super fun, and you like a lot of these characters and everything. So God of High School kind of works like that in a way. And maybe that's why I liked it, because I also loved that Giant Robo OVA. So yeah, that's what that reminded me of. And I got a lot of good feelings from that. And yeah, I can understand if this is too much for you, or let's say too shallow for you and too ridiculous and nonsensical and not coherent enough, and there's not enough character development and everything. But in my opinion, the show has enough stuff going for it that makes it enticing and fun and entertaining and not boring at all. If you don't find anything to connect to, if the Sakuga is not enough for you, if the three main characters are not enough for you, maybe you'll have a problem. Maybe you'll start getting bored and you'll be annoyed because everything is just happening so quickly and not a lot of it makes sense. But I think if you watch the first episode and you're like, hey, these three characters are super fun, the action looks super good, and if the show keeps on doing what it's doing in the first episode, then I'm in. And in my opinion, it does. John, would you agree?
Oh, yeah, no, it keeps it somehow keeps the momentum going in spite of itself. And, I feel like it's hard to not like Mori, Mira, and Day. Like I get it, if you don't feel like the substance is there, okay, that's how you feel and you move on. But, they're great characters and they're great together and there's a lot of great action and, yeah, the show is shallow as shit, but it's just sometimes you just find a show and you have a fun time watching it. And I feel like this is what it set out to do and it accomplished that goal.
Yes. I think you get the most enjoyment out of this show by just accepting all the nonsense as part of the fun and let the ridiculous and incredibly well-animated spectacle wash over you instead of questioning what is happening and why. If you can't do that, you might hate it. If you can do that, I think you will have a really good time, just as John and I did. Like I said, I get why people might not like this show, but I kind of loved it, and I'm definitely looking forward to a second season.
Same here.
Yeah, so I hope MAPPA blows our hair back again with the second season. But man, this was the thing that was like, hey, MAPPA is taking over from Studio Wit on Attack on Titan. I don't know if I'm too happy with that. I mean, they can deliver good stuff, but are they up to the task? I mean, Attack on Titan is one of the best action shows in existence. So, and I look at this shit, and I was like, oh, okay, it doesn't fucking matter. You just need the right people at the helm. I don't know if Sung-woo Park is going to direct Attack on Titan Season 4. I doubt it.
Don't think he is.
Yeah,
I read about it. I don't remember who it is, but it's not him.
Speaking of that, I wonder what he's going to do with God of High School. I think we're going to get a second season, but I mean, he's busy with Jujutsu Kaisen now. So someone else going to do God of High School too? I hope not, because
I don't know.
He needs to do that. So maybe he's going to take turns? We'll see. But yeah, like I said, if there's a second season of this, I'm totally in. There's a lot of things that need a follow-up. There is definitely a teaser for a new season at the end of this one, where it's like, hey, there are still some plot threads dangling in the air, so you might want to come back for a second showing. So it's like, okay, I definitely will if you give me an equally good time like you did with the first season. So yeah, I think I loved The God of High School, despite its problems and everything we mentioned before. And I'll hope we get another one of this. And that is a wrap on the 101st episode of Anime Brain Freeze. All the music in our show is from the Double Dragon Neon soundtrack by the amazing Jake Kaufman. Please go to vrt.bandcamp.com and check out his awesome work. Our show is available on most of the popular podcast services, but it's always worth visiting animebrainfreeze.com for our review index and more. Leave us comments and questions on YouTube, follow us on Twitter at AnyBrainFreeze, or send an email to animebrainfreeze@gmail.com. We would love to read your feedback. Thanks for tuning in, we hope you had a good time, and please join us again on our next episode. Macht's gut!
Take care, everybody. Next time on Anime Brain Freeze.
Evolve from NPC to player.
And a wild race across America to see who's king of the road.